Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, part 4 of lesson 29, continuing with the rules of waqf. Rule number 4: if the last letter is an alif with a zabar before it, or if the last letter has a sukoon, or if the last letter has a kara zabar, no change will take place when making waqf. In other words, if the last letter of a word is an alif with a zabar before it, or if it's a letter with a sukoon, or if it has a kara zabar, see this, then there'll be no changes while making waqf. Another point I would like to make, that if the last letter is a ya and it does not have anything, it does not have no zabar, zer, pesh, no sukoon whatsoever, then you just ignore that ya. So in this example, the jim will be regarded as the last letter of a word, right? So again, that if the last letter of a word has a alif with a zabar before it, or if it has a sukoon, or if it has a kara zabar, then there'll be no changes while making waqf. Talaha, so you stretch it one alif. It's maddul asli. I hope you remember about maddul asli. That alif with the zabar before it, waw sakin with the pesh before it, ya sakin with the zer before it, and then after that there are no sukoon, no hamza, no tashdid, and there are no mad symbols on top. So that'll be called maddul asli, and you stretch it only one alif. So talaha, talaha, banaha, banaha, dassaha, dassaha, suyirat, suyirat, hushirat, hushirat. So see, these two examples, the last letter has a sukoon, so no change will take place while making waqf. Saja, saja, and kara zabar, it's also maddul asli. It's in place of an alif with a zabar before it. So you stretch it for one alif. Qala, qala. Now rule number 5. Rule number 5 is actually one of the 5 types of maddul far'i. In the previous lessons we were going over the different types of mad. We went over that there are 2 types of mad, maddul asli and maddul far'i. And then maddul far'i is 5 types. So we went more in detail about maddul muttasil, maddul munfasil. Then we skipped these 2 rules and we went over the 2 types of maddul lazim, which is the 5th type of maddul far'i. So these 2 rules is actually related to rule number 5. So let's go over this right now. Maddul arid waqfi. Now, before we go over this, arid means something which is temporary, right? And waqfi means something which related to stopping at the end of a sentence, end of an ayah. So after the letters of mad, there appears a temporary sukoon. A temporary sukoon due to stopping. Right? Now, when we say letters of mad, what do we mean by letters of mad? Meaning alif with a zabar before it, a waw sakin with a pesh before it, and a ya sakin with a zer before it, right? And that they have either a mad symbols on top, or there's a hamza after it, or there's a sukoon after it, or a tashdid after it. So this is one of the types of mad al-far'i. So again, after the letters of mad, there appears a temporary sukoon. What do we mean by that? See this in this example, the letters of mad, the alif with a zabar before it. Right after that, there's this another letter, and this noon, it has a zer. So when you stop on it, you'll give a temporary sukoon on it. Okay? So instead of saying fil mizani, fil mizan. Now how long do you stress this for? It says here 5 alifs, 3 alifs, 2 alifs, or 1 alif, but preferably 3 or 5 alifs. So it's preferable that a person should stretch this 3 or 5 alifs. So this is called maddul a'rid waqfi. So again, that after the letters of mad, you give a temporary sukoon to the last letter. So this noon has a zer, so you take away this zer and give it a sukoon. Look at this example. See this letters of mad, waw sakin with the pesh before it. Right? It's right before the last letter. So this last letter here is a noon with a pesh. So you give a temporary sukoon on top. Now, another thing is, why are they saying temporary sukun? Why temporary? The reason is that there are some places in the Quran where there is a lam alif on top. There is a lam alif on top. So on top of the ayah symbol. So this means is that a person, he has a choice. He can either stop here or he doesn't have to stop there. Right? I hope you remember in the symbols of waqf we learned about lam alif, that when you see a lam alif in the middle of the ayah, then it means that do not stop. It means do not stop. But when you see a lam alif with the ayah symbol, then that means you have an option either to stop or not to stop. So if let's say for example, if I don't want to stop here, I'll be saying fil mizani. Why? Because nun has a zer, right? But if I want to stop over here, then I'll give a temporary sakin on top and get rid of the zer underneath. So fil mizan, right? Or over here, if there was a lam alif on top, and if I didn't want to stop over here, I'll be saying kun fayakunu, right? But if I want to stop here, then I'll get rid of the pesh and I give a temporary sakin on top. So kun fayakun. So this is maddul arid waqfi. Rule number 4, maddul lin arid waqfi. After the letters of lin. Now what is the letters of lin? Letters of lin is that before a ya sakin. Let me just write this down over here. Before ya sakin, there is a zabr before it. Or before waw sakin, there is a zabr before it. So these two are called letters of lin. That before ya sakin, there's a zabr. Before waw sakin, there's a zabr. So these are called the letters of lin. So after the letters of lin, there appears a temporary sukun due to stopping. That's quite similar to this one right here. Right? So let's look at the example. So see this waw sakin with the zabr before it? So that's the letters of lin. Right after that, there is a fa, which is the last letter of a word. And fa has a zer. So if I want to stop over here, I'll get rid of the zer and give it a sukun on top. So min khawf. How long do you stretch it for? Half alif, 1 alif, 1.5 alif, 2 alifs, 2.5 alifs, or 3 alifs. Many ulama kalam, they say it's better to stretch it 1.5 alif. So here you'll stretch it like this: min khawf, min khawf, right? Or was-sayf. So see this ya sakin with the zabba before it. So that's the letters of lin. So after the letters of lin, there's a fa, which is the last letter of a word, and it has a zer. So if I want to stop over here, I'll give a temporary sukun on top. So was-sayf, was-sayf. Now, just like I told in the previous rule, that if there was an lam alif on top, right, and if I don't want to stop here, I'll be saying min khawfi, min khawfi, or was-sayfi, was-sayfi. But since there is no lam alif on top, then I'll give it a temporary sakin. So min khawf, was-sayf. So this rule number 3 and 4 is part of the 5 types of maddul far'i, and it's related to rule number 5. Right? So we'll just skip this rule right here to avoid any confusion. Right? Rule number 6. If the last letter has a tashdid, pull a little when making waqf. So if the last letter of a word, if it has a tashdid, then you pull a little while making waqf, like tabba, tab. Now ba, when it has a tashdid and you stop on it, you have to make a strong qalqala. Tab, tab. Fatallun, fatal. See how I stretch the lam because it has a tashdid. Fatallun, fatal. Massi, mas. See? So if the last letter has a tashdid, you prolong the letter, right? Mas. Mudarrin, mudar, mudar. Now, about this mud right here, What type of mud is that? We learned this a while ago. That's one of the types of mad al-far'i. It's a type of mad al-lazim. Kilmi muthaqqal. See, after the letters of mud, there appears a tajdeed in the same word. There appears a tajdeed in the same word. So you stretch it 3 or 5 alifs. So here, after the letter of mud, there is a tajdeed. So you stretch it the 3 or 5 alifs. Mudarrin, mudar. Now here, that's kilmi muthaqqal. Kilmi muthaqqal. Right? But if I stop over here, it won't be kilmi muthaqqal anymore. But it will be maddul a'rif waqfi. This is rule number 3 of mad al-far'i. See, after the letter of the mud, there appears a temporary sukoon due to stopping. So what I did over here is that when I stopped, I gave the ra a sukoon. But since it had a tajdeed, I'll prolong the sound of the ra. Mudar, mudar. Hajju. See, Jim has a tajdeed. So when you make waqf on it, you give us a strong qalqala. Hajj. Hajj. Jannun. See, that's kilmi muthaqqal, which we have learned before. That after the letters of mud, there's a tajdeed. So you stretch it 3 or 5 alifs. Jannun. And nun has a tajdeed, so you have to make ghunna. Now when you make waqf over there, it will change into maddul a'rif waqfi. So Jan. See, noon has a tajdeed, so we have to prolong the sound of the noon. Jan. And you gave it a temporary sukoon. Mafarru. Mafar. See, ra had a pesh and with a tajdeed. So now you prolong the sound of the ra. Mafar.